Okay, let's go ahead and get started, and welcome everybody to the regular board meeting of the Vallecitos Water District on Wednesday, February 3rd, 2016. And my cheat sheet says call to order first, but don't we typically do the Pledge of Allegiance first?
That is it.
Okay, then let's go ahead and please rise, and Director Martin, please lead us in the pledge.
Sure. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, Diane, now can we go ahead and get a roll call?
Director Olafar?
Here.
Director Evans?
Here.
Director Hernandez?
Here. Here.
Here. Great. And I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda for the regular meeting of February 3rd.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a
Third.
second.
Fourth.
There's a motion and a second, and a third and a fourth. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No,
Hearing
just
none,
teasing.
motion passes unanimously.
Great.
Hi, we have a special
Nephew.
presentation.
Where's Corey?
Okay, we can have
He's
Corey
hiding
come
it.
up.
Where's Corey? Come on up, Corey. Come on down. Corey, you've all seen him many times, part of the FOG program. He was actually hired in the wastewater collections department back in 1989. He was 17. He's held a variety of positions over the year in the department, and in 2003, he was a lead worker. In 2006, he became the supervisor for the systems collection department. And then in 2012, when the board adopted the current FOG program, Corey chose to apply for that position and was successful as the district source control technician. You've seen, I think, 3 presentations from Corey over the last 2 years, give or take, about going around doing the FOG and getting that whole program going. So, you know, to reward his benefits, what President Snell has there before him today is Corey has been recognized by the California Water Environment Association as the pretreatment, pollution prevention, and stormwater person of the year, which is for the state of California. So it's a great award.
Tremendous job on the FOG program that we're all aware of, and definitely well deserved. So thank you so much for everything you do.
Great. Just in case.
Done already.
Thank you, Corey.
Yeah, really, that's fantastic.
And you'll actually be discussing that Monday at the workshop on the pre-treatment and all that stuff.
Oh, good, you're staying.
Thank you. Give him a second and ask that.
What do we do?
Hi, gentlemen.
Yeah, nice talking to you.
Must be cool.
Okay, we'll move right along to oral communications. Persons wishing to address a matter not on the agenda may be heard at this time. However, no action will be taken until the matter is placed on a future agenda in accordance to board policy. I do have one speaker slip for oral, and that's Mr. Hunsaker.
Good evening, board, staff. I'd like to thank again publicly Mr. Sinella's handling of the workshop recently. I appreciated the informal and free speaking format that he selected. And I also hope that the board follows his desire to possibly have these meetings in the evening when the citizens generally can attend, especially since we have facility fees and such. My concern is about the suspension of densification fees. Staff is of the opinion that this will disappear. That it's obviously unfair to subsidize big developers with having to pay their impact fees for wastewater. But I want to make sure that that is done. And then there's a question of how the suspension is going to apply, since there was refunding of some fees through the deferred payment fee situation. And believe that all of that should disappear promptly. Case of Newland Sierra, of course, is paramount, because it will go through a densification, because it has a major impact. As things stand today, it appears that they will not have to pay for their facilities. Is this the policy of the board for these large developers? How are we going to pay for these? Because you can't legally, I understand, transfer these costs to other ratepayers who are not benefiting under 211. And I would also like to know why we're not going to consider in-depth wastewater facilities fees under the new master plan for the coming years, as we have for the past 50, 60 years this board is in existence. Why are we not revisiting this? And if there is such an impact on water, obviously there's an impact on wastewater production. Matter of fact, right now, wastewater fees exceed my water bills. And that disparity will increase for all of your ratepayers as time goes along. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hunsaker. And General Manager Lamb, just maybe, not to put you on the spot, but maybe you can just help clarify that issue, because on one hand, just speaking from personal experience, I get calls from developers kicking and screaming that our fees are too high, and then we have a speaker that comes up and says that we're not charging them fees. So one of them's not true, right?
Well, the problem is you're in the middle of transition between a master plan, it's a record. You're in the middle of data collection and developing a document you can read here. The impact fee, which was for treatment, was for obviously density above and beyond what was allowed in the master plan. Okay, that was put in abeyance by the board pending the adoption of the new master plan. So May, June, whatever the schedule is, you'll have the sequel ready and the document going through the process. There have been no determinations on capacity fees for any projects. Nothing's changed. If the project comes in, we go through the normal fee structure. Nothing has been waived. No fees have been waived during the last 2 years since the board put the impact fee in abeyance. The board did adopt the other program that allowed them to defer payment of fees until they got occupancy, but you're still going to collect the money, so there's no difference there. It's just when we collect it, that's the only difference there. But there has been no determination of waiving any fees for any project, for any development. Once the district gets through the master plan and it identifies the facilities, the next thing that will be coming to the board right after that is the actual capacity fee study. You have to do a fee study based upon an adopted master plan to determine what your fees are. So, but nothing has been waived, nothing's been postponed, nothing's been forfeited or given away at this for any developer.
Thank you, and hopefully that helps clarify for the public. So, but thank you for your comments, Mr. Hunsaker. Yes, Director Martin.
Quick question to staff. So, Dennis, to make it as plain as we can possibly make it, development is paying their own way. That's not being put on the other taxpayer. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Moving right along to the consent calendar, just a little disclaimer here. All matters listed under the consent calendar will be voted upon by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member or member of the public requests a particular item or items be removed from the consent calendar, in which case it will be considered separately under action items. Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I did have a couple questions on the warrants list. I didn't write down the page number, but there was $100 listed under Lake San Marcos Kiwanis Club. Can I get some information on that, please?
We'll let John go pull it and see what it was.
Okay.
Yeah, I would. We'd have to go pull and see exactly.
Yeah,
what
if
it
you
was.
could during this meeting, that would be appreciated. And then on page 28, There's a $7,300 charge that's listed as tree cutting.
Yes, that was removal of 4 big eucalyptus trees down at the wastewater treatment plant. We had to remove some, there were 60, 70-foot ukes right at the front entrance.
Wow.
On the property. There were three, 60-foot. They were starting to bring the roads up, bring the driveways up. If they do go over, they go right over on the brand-new 2-story house right next door. We chose to remove them.
Got him just in time.
Probably a good thing before.
Probably just in
don't
time.
have it
Yeah,
on- over
but
the
that's what
weekend.
that is for.
Yeah. Thank you. And if there's no
We'll
other-
check the other one and get back to you.
I appreciate that. There's no other questions on the consent calendar. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Okay. We'll move on to our action items, and we'll go to item 2.1, and I do have a speaker slip on that as well. Mr. Hunsaker, please come up again.
Mike Hunsaker. I have no real problems with what this resolution action item entails. If you have open land and it does not contribute to any wastewater processing additional, it would be unfair to charge those developers for open land. The provisos, though, that concern me is where you use density averaging on lot size, where you are allowed to build to higher densities in some parts of your project, which are zoned for nominally lower density. If the open land is used to justify increasing the density, and if your fees are based on the zoning density, then there is the opportunity for a subsidy to be generated. The other problem is where open space is used for in lieu fees of providing open space in high-density developments or to protect species. This, however, does not utilize extra wastewater use, so I don't think it's germane, except it's an issue that needs to be developed. But any open space does not enable higher density and lower fees elsewhere. Thank you.
Thank you. Dennis, you have a quick little briefing on this?
Yeah, very quick. If I might, because we are talking about the item, just to address the statement made.
Sure.
If you actually look at page 34 of the agenda, under section 4.2, what it does, it has a formula that says, here's the asset value of the district divided by the acres, determines the cost per acre for annexation. So if we only annex certain property and that's where the development goes, the acreage gets modified and the cost gets modified. So those two factors are caught right into the annexation fee, so it doesn't defer fees to anybody else. The only other change the board may recall is we had the conversation over developments that may have large pieces of property that are not developed. They're separate pieces, not the holes in the middle, but separate pieces that would be. So we took the word on section 2.13 as noted in the board memo and took out from this shall include separate parcels to this may include separate parcels to include the flexibility that was brought up by the board. That's the only change to the subject to the ordinance.
Director Martin?
I have a question. I actually thought that section 2.13 was being changed in the first sentence, where it says easements and roads right-of-way within the proposed development, parcel map or subdivision map may be included rather than shall be included.
No, those were all shall because they're internal to the sub-developable area. What the board said was if you keep reading the sentence, keep going,
Okay.
because you gotta remember, now you're talking about trying to take out roadways in the middle of parcels from detachment.
No, that's what I want to talk about.
Yeah, but that's what the board talked about, so you keep going, and that's where it says, now it says separate parcels that are not proposed for development, so we took out shall to may, that's where we put the word may in there for permissive. That's the direction from the board.
That's fine, as long as it means the same thing.
Yeah, yeah, it's may on the bigger, so if they have a 40-acre piece of property up here that they're not touching, or they create a separate 40-acre piece, and it's just not built on, we'll exclude it from the project.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Director Ellenhart?
Yeah, back on page 34, section 4.2,
Yes.
you were just talking about if you look midway down the page on the sewer improvement district annexation, I think the total net assets should have said sewer segment there. That says water segment.
Yeah, you're right.
Do you have water
Oh, you're right.
segment for both?
You're right. We'll fix that in the final
Okay.
document. Good catch. Thank you.
It's only been
I
there
was
for-
trying to figure
it's
out
only been
how
there for 6
how
years.
that had anything to do with
Yeah, it's only been there for
sewer.
6 years. We thought we absorbed it by osmosis. That's the only change. This is an ordinance. It does recall a roll call vote.
Any other questions or comments by the directors? Okay, we'll entertain a motion, presumably with the change of the word water to sewage.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can we get a roll call vote, Diane, when you have a chance?
Absolutely, and this will be ordinance number 196. Director Oliver?
Yes.
Director Evans?
Yes.
Director Hernandez?
Yes.
Director Martin?
Yes.
Director Smith?
Thank you.
Okay, moving to item 2.2. There's no speakers on this, so I'll turn it over to you, Dennis, real quick, and before you
Yes,
turn it, before you.
as-
I have a question of the president first, if I could. I thought I had requested that we were going to take the time to look at all of them. You said, well, we just did that in November or something. I said, no, I want to look at everything we belong to and see what we can do as a board.
That's what's here.
To help you, cause I just see, I just see one.
Page 38 and 39 are every organization we belong to for the last 2 fiscal years.
What, 2.2?
Yeah, page 38.
There was one organization that was left off.
But we don't belong to that one, Director Snell.
We
That's
don't
why
belong
it's
to it, it's a
not on.
one-time thing?
Yeah, it was a one-time thing.
I must be doing something wrong with my computer. Because the only one I see is San Diego North Economic Development Council membership. That's all I see.
You can't spin the other pages?
This was when we get to, there's that $100.
There's 30, what, 30, what number?
38 and 39.
Page 30 and 39.
Yeah, here we go.
Sure.
Thank you. But I don't have mine, so I'm gonna sit here with you.
If, before you start, the Kiwanis thing was for the pancake breakfast.
Okay. Okay, we'll talk about that later, but I had some more on that. Were you able to find it?
Yeah, thank you. Go right ahead. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
As the board may recall, last year, the board authorized a one-year membership into the San Diego North Economic Development Council. We added it to the ordinance that allows per diems and attendance to those meetings. It was to be brought back at a one-year term to decide if the board wanted to re-up. At the last board meeting, it was requested to bring forward all the expenses. Did Jim just lose it for you?
Yeah. No, he just said expletive. I want everyone to know it was him and not me.
Oh. So what you have before you, we went back to 2014, and we did 2015 as well. Now, these are the expenses that are associated with organizations we belong to that are by policy. What Director Snella has is the cost that the board did sponsor a table at the Boys and Girls Clubs last year, $1,500. So that's not actually in the list because we don't belong to them. And it's just back before the board today for a decision on whether or not to join and at what level.
Okay, and since I think I originally brought this up for reconsideration, specifically with the San Diego North EDC, I'll kind of get started. There was a couple questions that came up that at the last meeting that I want to try to answer. And other than that, I'm not sure how much more there is to say. It was roughly a year ago that we had somewhat of a prolonged debate on this, and we came to a decision to support that group and be involved and partner with them. I personally think it was worthwhile, and we can have that discussion again tonight if we want to continue that. One of the questions that came up was what other municipal or water district agencies our members, and I just going to their website can ramble those off real quick for you. The City of Poway, the City of Oceanside, the City of Encinitas, Olivia Hayne Municipal Water District, San Diego County Water Authority. I don't see it on here, but I believe the City of Vista is also, and not a city or a water district, but Poseidon also is involved with the group as well. So that's what I see just with a quick glance at their list on their website. And then Director Evans, you had some questions pertaining to some of the benefits levels that come with the level that we were at. And really, there's not a tangible answer for your question. The group really looks for two types of supporters. They look for private investors that are either in some way in the corporate side of the world or the real estate side of the world, and then they look for other investors that are more community minded. And those city councils and those water boards that I just mentioned here, giving them an opportunity to be leaders in the community. And those city council members and those water board members chose to be leaders in the community, so they participated. They may not necessarily realize the same benefits as some of the corporate sponsorships do, such as I think you said private meetings. I'm not aware of any private meetings. It sounds to me it's like a benefit that they just list because they want to kind of pad their listing of benefits, but I certainly could see how if there was a commercial real estate broker or something that wanted to have a meeting with a potential client that was looking, or a potential business that was looking to come to the area, they may try to arrange that because their mission is economic development and to create jobs in the community and to foster a strong local economy. So I'm sure that takes place, but it's probably more geared for the corporate investors and not the folks who really just care about supporting their community and being leaders. So if there's any other questions about SD, San Diego North EDC, or any of the other sponsorships that we're doing, I'll open it up.
I have a question. Of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm not gonna count the City of Vista because there is Vista, VID, if it was gonna be purely water.
Mhm.
So, of these 5, how many of them were at the $10,000 level?
That,
Were they-
I know Olivia Hayne is, because we're close to
They-
them.
right.
I know that Oceanside is because Mayor Wood participates in the meetings every month with us. And off the top of my head, I don't know about the others.
But Oceanside is also a city.
Yeah, well, they do city and water.
Right. So they have different reasons for developing and their connection, and they would gain different things from it, like you said. Okay, thank you.
Before we get to the motion, the fun part of the motion, is there any other discussion regarding the other items?
Oh, the other items on the list?
Unless you want to.
No, go ahead.
I just want to go down, because some of these I just want to ask what our level of participation is, and I guess if it needs to be that much, I don't know the answer to that. But very worthwhile, of all these I see on the list, it's not a question of that. The American Water Works, AWWA, our membership is $3,400. And that's more education, understand engineering type of
Yeah,
stuff?
that's more of the very technical aspects. You have like Ed, they will be actually attending. Ed's on the Workforce Development Task Force.
No, it's great.
But
great.
that's on the technical side.
Is that the nominal payment we can
Yes.
make, or is that the most expensive?
They do it based upon your value and the number of connections.
Okay.
So it's a fixed,
That's
it's a fixed fee.
Okay, Aqua, is that same,
Same
fixed
thing.
on number?
Yes.
That's the question I should ask to make it easier.
Every one of them is.
There's no levels on.
There's no levels on any of these.
There isn't.
Mhm. The award that Corey just received from CWA, we don't actually pay premiums to that, but you'll see $2,130 there. That's the certifications and when staff goes to the CWA dinners and functions. Sort of like,
And CAWA is just the cost for,
every time somebody attends.
right.
There used to be a fee for that, but they took that away because they decided they didn't want to be a nonprofit anymore.
Okay, the North County Water Group, that's the group that you have to be on the
Water Authority Board.
Water Authority
It's a
Board to
North
be on
County
that.
group, meets
That's
the
fine.
day before,
That's
or the
what
week
I'm talking
before.
about.
And the Water Education Foundation is obviously all the tours and all that stuff that they reach out and do.
Is there a fee or just pay when you attend?
Yes, just when we attend.
San Marcos EDC is dormant, or previews. Okay. And all those fees are based upon your size?
Correct.
Not.
Some go by
not
number
so-
of connections in water, some go by your
Flow.
your flow, like the SCAP, the Southern California Alliance of Publicly Owned Treatment Works, SCAP for short. That's based on your gallons per day of treatment. So if you're up to 10 million gallons, you pay this much. If you're over, you pay this much.
Can you, and what is the 860 at the San Marcos Chamber of Commerce? Does that mean everyone pays $860 to belong to the Chamber of Commerce?
Chamber of Commerce is by how many employees you
I
have.
think that was by employee. Yeah.
Oh. Thank you,
And
Dennis.
again, that was added as part of public outreach?
It's all, we've always belonged to that. The
Oh.
only difference it used to be was if you wanted to go to a chamber event by board policy, you have to get permission for per diem before you go.
Oh, you get paid per diem,
Per
but you
diem.
can go.
You can go, but you
Yeah.
don't get per diem
Yeah,
unless the
right.
board says you get per
Yeah.
diem. Yeah. That was the only change on that. It's not noted here, but that's in the policy.
Director Evans?
Yes, is that about, at the San Diego North Economic Development Council, I know they had the two meetings, the investor meeting and the other meeting before it, on those Thursdays?
So they have the investor meeting, it starts approximately 7 o'clock with kind of a networking session and some coffee in the beginning. And then there's usually some sort of community presentation. And then after that meeting is released, 8:30 or so, they start their board meeting. And the board members will come together and, approve the budget and that kind of stuff.
And is there a fee to attend the investor meeting?
There is not.
Do you have to be someone in the, do you have to have a membership card?
Nope.
Nope?
It's open
Oh,
to the public.
It's open to the
Really?
public.
Yep.
Well, there is a secret handshake.
There is, yeah.
There's what?
Secret handshake.
Secret handshake.
Oh, well, the secret handshake, that's at no cost. So is it, am I making a correct assumption here to say if I wanted to attend every one of the meetings at the San Diego North Economic Development Council, I could do that without being a member?
No, not every single one of their meetings. So you could go to their monthly investor meetings where the hour and a half presentation that I just mentioned. If you recall from last year when we approved this, why it made both sense to support the community, but also economic sense to do it the way we were proposing to do it, and we ultimately did, is because they have 3 or 4 larger symposiums.
Like the
An
summit.
economic summit, a water summit, a healthcare summit, and I think there's another one too that I'm forgetting off the top of my head, that do cost money to attend. And so as part of our partnership with them, for a lack of a better way to put it, instead of going out there and I think we all agreed that this has been a huge push in the last 18, 24 months to do more public outreach. It's been one of our, I think, strongest initiatives, and that was all part of that, to get out there and be part of that we were gonna purchase those tables anyways, and so we wrapped it all into one membership.
Okay, back to my question. I could have attended the 10 or 12 or 11 they have as an investor.
Yeah, I think there's probably
Okay.
on average 11, I think they skipped.
So I
a
could have
number.
done that
Yep.
at no expense.
Correct.
And I could attend any of the symposiums on my own, but I'd have to pay a fee.
Yes.
Either a fee I could buy a whole table, or I would pay for one seat.
Correct.
And is that a set amount per event?
I don't know if it's set, but I think it's typically a table of 8 to 10, and the tickets are between $150 and $200 if they're individual.
So it's around, like, the chamber or anything, it's
Yeah, same
around
same
$100 a
concept.
person, probably average.
It's more than 100. It's typically 150 to 200.
Okay, it's 150. And of those summits, I don't know, how many of them did we attend? I know we did the water summit and we did the
We did.
economic development thing in Escondido, but we didn't do the health one, did we?
We didn't do.
I attended personally.
Yeah.
You attend personally?
Yeah, we didn't have a table at the health one, but there was one in March at the,
That
at
was
the
the-
Sheridan over there by the,
It was the technology one, but
no, that was also, it was their economic summit. Wells Fargo was the
That's right.
presenter, remember the economist from Wells Fargo? It was at the Sheridan next to Legoland. And I can't remember, I think we had a table there because I remember, I think we did.
I think at the membership, you get a table through the membership
Yeah.
at the $10,000 label at each site.
Yeah, that was the whole, I mean, when you start crunching the numbers,
Yeah.
you know, that was the whole conversation we had last year, so.
And so the tables were worth 1,000?
No, they're, off the top of my head, I think they're at least 1,500. It's 1,500 to 2,000 if you multiply the 150 to 200.
Okay.
They're, Director Martin.
I just want to say, I was very tentative about joining this at the $10,000 level. But I will say that I did certainly use this last year and got as much education from this as I have from many of the others, but more localized, more telling what's going on. We had a number of our constituents, Hunter Industries speaking at one, Mike McDonald, developer in town, speaking at another. We had quite a few interesting people there, letting all of North County know what's going on and keeping you abreast for your education, so that you know what's going on, and you don't go off half-baked making ascertain assumptions and things. So I think it was a well worthwhile to go, and I will continue to go. After that, I do have a question as to the level, but other than that, I do want to belong to it, and I do want to use that as part of our public outreach. And we'll be talking about public outreach later on in the discussions, because we've spent $100,000 on nothing, and we want to get into that deeper. But, so,
Director Hernandez.
You were being the member, were you gonna make a suggestion to us?
I was eventually, but I wanted to get everybody's.
Oh, no, fine, well, that.
You know how I am.
I
like to
have-
have everybody-
thank you.
Give everybody a chance to talk. I also want to just add to Director Martin's comments too, that, one of the kind of nice gestures that this organization, I think, did for us in a way, as part of our partnership, is they gave us a forum last year to have a water-specific symposium, and especially at a time when we had, we were in the midst of the fourth, worst drought year and on record.
Still
And,
are.
Still are.
Yep, and if I recall correctly, that about $3,500 of our sponsorship money went specifically to that water forum. We were given the opportunity to not only attend that, to speak at that, and I thought it was very valuable for not only all of us, but the community at large. And it actually was projected further out from than just the 300 or 400 people that were in the audience, because it got a tremendous amount of media coverage, which again, I think when you're talking about outreach and you're talking about getting out information about the drought when it was most needed, that was critical, and that's just kudos to us and all the other water districts and other groups that supported that and took leadership in their communities to get that word out. I obviously think it's a worthwhile cause. I'm not totally sold that we have to come in at the $10,000 rate. I just think, again, it's, if we're gonna buy all the tables anyways, and we're gonna have a water forum this year, which I've already started having some preliminary conversations with the board about doing that, and they're excited about doing it. It makes sense to come in at that level, but if the board doesn't want to, I stand nothing, I gain nothing by this. I'm just trying to be somebody who wants to take more of a leadership role in the community, and if the board doesn't want to do that, I can sleep well at night knowing that I tried.
I have a question.
Mhm.
This would be to staff, I believe. If the board decided to do a water summit, is there any way, or a symposium, do we have other outlets than this, or is this the only outlet available to us? I mean, if we had made this choice on our own,
If your question is, could the district choose to have our own summit and support it, just do an event?
Yes, that's my question.
Yes, we could.
But to follow up with that, could we host an event attended by 400 people and the media that was recorded and put on the website professionally for $3,500? And I think we fed them breakfast too?
I have no idea.
Probably not.
We don't have facilities here to host 400.
So we would have to rent the facility, we'd have to buy the food, we'd have to hire the photographer and the videographer, we'd have to invite the press. I don't think we
We
could do it
would.
for $3,500.
I don't, and I'm not saying we could do it for 3,500, but I'm also saying you could direct it to what the point of the Water Summit Forum to me is about our ratepayers and our district. It's not necessarily about all of North County. I think this is an amazing organization, and I've been impressed at the only 2 events I've been to. And I think they do a great deal of effort. I have difficulty in, I know you've all come from the meetings and said you've learned a lot, and as Director Martin has just said, he'd like to maintain membership in this, but if I can go publicly for free to something that is not directly connected to water, I feel my responsibility with ratepayers is I go on my own to educate myself, and I don't ask them to pay me a per diem or to pay the second or third largest amount of money on our list of joint things. So we have the responsibility to have a table. We are all capable of deciding 4 times a year if we want to sponsor a table and for what events. And it's presumptive for me to assume we wouldn't sponsor any, but it's also presumptive to assume, well, we would sponsor all 4 of them, it's going to save us money. When we sponsor a table, we're obligated to all those seats. We could say we all want to attend, and it would be 5, which is half a table's worth, I'm assuming. So I have great difficulty in supporting this in any way, shape, or form in our policy connected to. Is it connected to the water district? I don't believe it is. Is it worthwhile to know about our community and our North County? I believe it is. I think the Water Summit was excellent. I think it would have been excellent without us. We didn't do anything particularly special in the program. I think we could have paid for something less than $3,500 and gotten the same thing, except that's just my opinion. I'm only one of 5. But this, to me, is just not an appropriate choice.
Mr. President,
Director Hernandez.
I just want to make sure, are you absolutely sure that the public can attend? Because I don't, because when I first started going, I was actually told that that would be the last one that I could attend as just a general citizen. We had to be a member, and that's when I brought it to general manager, because it was
We joined way
Yeah.
back when at the minimum level, and
Yeah.
we were allowed to attend like twice. And then we had to,
yeah, then we had to join.
then we had to join.
Right, so I think you have to be a member in order to attend the monthly meeting.
Yeah, I think they've loosened that up a little bit in an effort to increase just their engagement of the community as well. I think that what was the minimum, 1,500? Was that what we originally?
It's in
Something like that.
In that piece of paper, I don't have it today.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're gonna.
Yeah, back then it was
Again,
like
this comes
1,500.
down to, you know,
Yeah, and-
what do we wanna do to reach
And
out to the community?
I do agree with Director Evans that the $10,000 level is a bit tall. But if we are able, because what I felt that with the meetings going to and then the summit, if there is a $5,000 level that we could participate in and then get the attendance to the water summit, well, then it's virtually a wash. It's 6 of one, half a dozen the other, and we are participating in the organization at a member level as opposed to just general public level and buying a table.
Director Martin?
I don't know how many of these companies are in 10,000, how many are in for 1,500, it doesn't make a difference. One thing is, I think that Chris did an all-out job to get people to show up here to have the workshops on desal. And I know he spent a lot of time on it, we spent newsprint on it with Splash, we got 10 people to show up. If the aim is to get 400 people to show up, people that are movers and doers in the community, and if that workshop on water was put on by Alevenhain, Vallecitos, VID, that would make a lot more sense to me, the cost per head, to get those people to listen to you. But I think if you look at the cost per head, I don't think it's something that one water district can do. And we've seen it here with getting people from beside. I think they have a base that they can tap into. Is that worth 10 grand? I don't know. Is it worth something? Yeah, I think it's definitely worth something, but, and maybe if we could guarantee a water symposium put on by Vallecitos, Alevenhain, and VID, that could be a different story. But I think just as, them not, some of that water, some of it, I like some of it. The monthly meetings to me have a lot of information, but that's my 2 cents for it.
Yeah, I'd just like to say I'm supportive of continuing the membership at some level. I think it's valuable. It's hard to put a value on it, but I think there's value there. It's like I said, it's tough to say whether it's worth it or not, I guess. But I think having an informed board is worth something to the ratepayers. And so I'd be open to continuing a membership, and I'd also be open to considering a different level of membership.
Mr.
Hernandez?
Hernandez, I would move that we join the membership at the $5,000 level with the discussion with the organization that would include us, the availability for us to have a table at a water symposium.
I'll second that. Okay, there's a motion and a second. Do we need a roll call, or is it all in favor?
All in favor.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Please let the record reflect that Director Evans opposed. Motion passes 4-1.
Great, thank you.
Oh, and can I add a caveat? Can this come back next year? Can we do the same thing next year with all of them? Let's look at them and see what happens.
We'll do it annually.
Okay.
Cool. Okay. Let's go to reports.
Just a couple.
General Manager Lamb.
Thank you. Just a couple of real quick items. I'll contain most of mine to closed session. You have in front of you a copy of the bill.
Yes.
That we sent you last week. We did add the direction the board had. We made the font size a little bigger. And then we added the gallons used and the cost per gallon. That's in the box under the meter information. Now, what you have there, it just shows one penny per gallon. It's actually .06. 0.065.
Yeah, it's round.
Do we want to round it all the way down to that, or do you want to say less than a penny?
I would like to see less than a penny.
Well, I don't want it spelled out.
No, we'll
Less than a penny, but to have the less sign.
put the less sign on it. Can we, I'm saying that?
Yeah.
We'll talk to the guys that do the bill. I'm sure they can figure it out.
I-
Or you guys tell me.
Director Martin?
Okay, I don't know. I just, John Q. Public, I think less than a penny makes more sense than the less sign. Some people won't know it.
But my goal with it was to show them what their actual cost per gallon was. I think if we use the phrase less than a penny, that's like a marketing phrase to me. When I read that, it's like, well,
That's what we're doing.
is it, I know, but I mean, but it sounds like I just wanna tell them what it is, and not necessarily just, I don't know, we use less than a penny in everything that we say. Just, to me, it sounds like, it's true, it's an accurate statement, but it just, on their bill, we should tell them what it costs.
Well, then, why don't we just put .006?
Put 006 then.
Or you could put
People don't think
.6
it's-
But
cents.
people are gonna get confused on, significant decimals on, or maybe we
They
just say
will.
0.6 cents.
point
Well, now,
six cents.
.6
Don't think
cents, I
that'll be
think there was
6
60
cents.
cents.
Don't think it's 6 cents.
Yeah. Can we, could we put .006 and then the cent sign behind it?
No.
No?
They won't get it.
It won't get- I
That's, I mean, this
I
is
think
a-
our ratepayers are a lot
This is a
smarter than
tough
that.
thing to
Can we-
personally.
then-
I think some of them are, and everybody in this room is, because they're in the industry.
They can-
I think people aren't in the industry and architects, I don't know.
Let me put this idea for consideration. Can we put the actual cost, and then underneath it, just have the line on there, because every bill's gonna be less than a penny, right?
Well, the
Then you
cost is
can have-
over on the right. The cost is there.
How
Yeah,
about- how
yeah,
about-
per unit, right?
Well, everything, it's the ready to serve, it's the cost per unit, and it's the
But, yeah,
total
but,
cost.
but this new section that we're discussing today, the gallons used, which is the exact amount of gallons they're using, and what that cost per gallon is, that's what we're talking about today. And I like what you've done here, maybe to kind of bridge this gap in differences of opinions is add a third line underneath that says less than a penny per gallon. But have the actual .006 or whatever it is there as well, but then underneath it say less than a penny per gallon, just to clarify it for them.
Yeah, I had a similar thought, maybe say cost per gallon less than 1 cent or $0.01, and then
Yeah.
underneath in parentheses, put the actual.
It's very
How about the
possible that it will be
1
more,
cent
though.
sign?
You can say, what are the odds of it being over?
It's not unlikely,
and a
especially
cent,
this time of
less
year when you
than-
have a
yeah,
huge
that's-
meter and you're taking the
That's
ready to
true.
serve charge and dividing it in, there's gonna be a few instances where it's
Yeah, if you had,
more.
Well, does the software have the capability to know when it's more than when it's greater than? Just-
I doubt it, but
I doubt it, without going in and programming it.
it's not Siri, you know.
We don't have the ready to serve charging here, this is just the actual commodity
No, that's the
rate.
total.
That's
It's
the
ready to
total.
serve
What the
economic
board said was the
commodity.
total cost for water, put into that.
Minus sewage.
Yeah, not
No
including
sewer,
sewer,
no
no
sewer.
sewer. So it's the ready to serve and
It
the,
should
and
say 1 cent per gallon delivered.
but it's less than.
Oh,
It's
should
.0065.
say less than, 1 and the cent sign, forget the O's and the decimal points, 1 and the cent sign, 1 cent per gallon.
it's a lot less than that.
Yeah, people don't care.
A lot
Half
less.
a penny a gallon, a penny a gallon is the same thing.
And sometimes
It's
more.
like your gas at 99.99
So
cents.
less than, little symbol, cent sign, .1 per gallon.
Less than 1.
No.
And then
No.
a cent
Be
sign
1.
after the-
Less than 1 cent, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see how that,
And on the other side, again, we still have the RES 5/8. Which I'll guarantee if you ask 10 people who walk in this building what it means, they're gonna go, that don't work there.
Yeah, I had a thought on that. Maybe over on the left side under meter information, could you put under the meter number?
That's what we're looking, we have to.
Residential
we have to-
5/8 inch?
We have to reprogram the system to put the meter size in there.
All right, we got plenty of IT people now.
Well, that's
Just
outside.
add people, it's-
That's outside. We can do it.
Well, if it's outside, we don't have to pay them.
Okay.
Any other
We'll s-
feedback?
We'll send you another version.
Yeah, we don't need,
okay.
this is just note and file?
Yeah.
But thank you for using a better number rather than someone who uses 4 gallons a month, which I think the last one had.
4 units.
Is more representative, probably. Thank you.
State Water Resources met after a very long hearing yesterday. Maybe we finally got a little bit back. It appears they're going to give a credit for water supplies developed, but the max you will get is 8%. Max. And that's after you go through the formula. We don't know what that's gonna be yet. They're sending us the forms and the methodology. We'll see what it does.
did we start at 32 or 35? I can't remember.
It
Us?
started at
No,
28.
We started at 28 originally. We all complained, dropped us down to 24.
24.
So
Oh, and
theoretically,
then we're gonna go to 20.
well, theoretically, if we get the full 8, we go down to 16.
Oh. Well, that would be, you know,
But
and
again-
we're already doing 20.
But again, we don't, we're still meeting our 24.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the formula's really gonna say yet. We haven't seen it. And they're hoping that they will accept what the Water Authority uses, our model that we sent in. So we'll see how it goes. They're extending the drought through October 2016.
Yes.
I had a question about that. I've never been really clear on this. So does that mean that, so we're in stage 2 currently? This extension of the drought, does that mean that we are required as a water district to stay in stage 2? Or if we chose to vote to go back to, what is stage 1? That go down back to regular operating, or
If you're
could-
over.
could we do that?
If you're over per policy, was it 10%?
Right now, we're 20 and over, and the other one was just under 20.
Yeah.
One is just voluntary, it's not.
One is voluntary, and it just depends on what the percentage hits us in, but
Mhm.
we have to follow the direction by policy of what the water authority's doing.
Can we look at that? There was an article, I think came out yesterday that I got hit up a lot about, in the San Diego Reader, that the San Diego County Water Authority is taking treated water, excess treated water, and putting it into a reservoir in Chula Vista. And we're telling all of our customers that they need to let their lawns die, that they need to not
The
water.
state is telling
I
the
understand,
customers.
but we're guilty too, because we're going along with the state.
Well-
And if we have an option not to go along with the state, that's why I'm asking the question. If we don't have to, then we need to have that discussion.
We have to.
We have to.
Because,
We have to.
These
We
are
have
law.
to
These are law.
follow. That's why this is a
So-
crazy, crazy situation. 500 million
gallons
gallons
going,
was-
treated
went
water.
into lower
Lower, yeah.
Otay because we have contracts with Met that we have to take treated water from Met. We have the Water Authority has its own plant at Twin Oaks that produces treated water. And we now have a contract with DSAL that we have to take that water. And so literally, the Water Authority is taking all this treated expensive water
Dumped it.
and dumping it into Otay, and they need to work this out. But it's at the same time, people are doing a great job conserving, they're doing such a great job conserving, we got more treated water than we can put we ended up putting it in the reservoir, so, but we have, from a legal perspective, we don't have any choice. The governor has signed the order. If what Dennis is saying is that this is going to be extended till October, we're gonna see this restrictions mandated by the state, and yet at the same time, we're gonna be sitting down here with plenty of water, and theoretically, the reservoirs are filling, it's crazy.
And that's why I asked the question, because from a public perception standpoint, I can tell you, I've been hit up 8 times at least since this article came out in the last 24 hours.
And-
It is not a very good public,
It's
perception
crazy.
argument.
That's why
And if we can go
that-
to a voluntary conservation level, then we can tell our customers
But-
that it's voluntary. If you so choose to, you can, but we're not gonna force you to have a dead lawn and lose literally thousands of dollars in landscaping while we just dump treated water
it.
down the tube. I mean, to me,
But
and I know our hands are tied,
That's
that's
the
why I'm asking
problem,
the
okay.
question.
Every time we've ever had a drought before, basically what we've looked to is the water authority. And whatever the water authority basically designates, we've looked to them and they said, okay, here's the cutbacks, this is what you have to do. What happened was, is we had a unique situation here and continue to have a situation where we have all of our entitlements from Met from all intents and purposes, and we'll probably continue to have that. And we've got, we're not being restricted, but at the same time, now we're bringing on DSAL, but we have to follow the state mandate, the emergency order of the governor.
And that was my,
It's
that was
just-
my
it's
question.
just-
is
It's
do
a
we have to?
disconnect.
If we have to, we have to, but if there was a way to get out of it, I would have liked to have had that conversation. Director Martin.
My question is, Jeff, and I really hate to say this, but I found the same thing locally, which I know right now we have NORAD looking into why that sewer pipe broke. But, and I know we'll have an answer for that, but my answer to you is, what heads rolled, I'm thinking, San Diego County Water Authority apparently overbought water, knowing they had desal coming on, knowing all these things that they know, they continued a contract with Met for more than they knew they were going to need. That's what it sounds like.
Well, understand, we're not talking about raw water.
No,
We're
it's worse.
talking about treated water, and that's the key. We're talking about, we have, because of the voluntary restrictions that people have been, basically have complied with the drought, because people are using less treated water, we have more treated water because we have contractual obligations with Met and now with Poseidon to buy this expensive water, put it in a reservoir, and then treat it again when it comes out.
And the water that they take, Director Martin, from Metropolitan is based upon the meter size that they have. They have a minimum take they have to take. Twin Oaks Treatment Plant, contractually, they have a minimum amount of flow that they can run through the Twin Oaks Treatment Plant. DSAL, we have a minimum contract to purchase what they
Right.
generate. When you're going through, and you weren't on the board 10 years ago, where we were sending out notices, Rancho Cal was part of that whole thing, you remember back then, they were slamming everybody about Met can't give us enough water. They haven't built enough treatment. We haven't done this, we haven't done that. Hence, desal, Twin Oaks Treatment Plant, all of this good stuff.
Expansion of Skinner.
Expansion of Skinner, San Vicente, the IID deal. Well, when you throw the drought in a wet time like this, it's just a time where we got extra water. And I'll tell you, there were times in the past, water got dumped into Low Road years ago.
If I may,
Whether or not we can voluntarily go to it, the answer is no, unless the,
And that's why I asked the question,
Yeah.
because this is not a game. We have developers that are scared to death that we're gonna go to stage 3 and have a building moratorium. We have
Mhm.
farmers that are not growing food and not selling it to the markets and thus inflating the prices of food for everybody. This is, and I understand this is not a Vallecitos issue specifically, but the reason why I asked the question is because, again, if we had the opportunity to buck the governor and take some leadership and do something on our own, two wrongs don't necessarily make a right. And, because this really isn't a game, this is a really big issue right now, and as the news continues to get out, and I'm glad that Director Evans is here, I don't know if she planned on talking about this during her report, but I would like to know, I mean, are you fighting for us? I mean, this is a big issue.
are you asking me now, or would you like to wait for my
Sure,
report?
it's all yours. It's up to you.
Did you have something more general, Len?
Yeah, you know, I don't disagree with you, and as far as us fighting the governor, I don't think you've ever seen the water industry ever come together as a whole to try to fight the governor.
It's been a fight for the last 6
This has
months.
gone from every level there is. Your two choices are go try to get legislation passed, try to sponsor a bill to do it. Water authorities tried to go down that path, but there's nobody willing to support the legislation. Second alternative, sue the governor. Those are choices. We have done everything we can.
All I want to do is
Yeah.
just go back to stage 1, and that's what my original question was. So if we can't do it, like I
Until
said.
until the state says we can, no, we can't.
Okay. That's the question I got, so
Yeah.
now I can answer that. Anybody else want to talk about this? But you can wait till we get to the water authority. Right.
Well,
Director Ellipart.
yeah, just a comment on this. This points to the situation of this one-size-fits-all legislative
Yeah.
mandate from the state,
Yeah.
and it points to the fact that San Diego isn't actually in a drought. They have enough supplies. So these are the kind of problems that crop up when you have that situation.
Well, and the other thing, I mean, the state water allocation right now, to finish up my comments in my report, the rest is closed session, we started out at 10%. You would think everybody's, oh, we got all this rain and snow, we're at 15. The allocation has not changed on the state water project, state or federal. It's just not there. I mean, so you're gonna be going into another year, whether or not the water authority, on behalf, after action by Met, decides to go to a greater stage 3. I don't see that personally. I think we'll stay in stage 2 only because of the fact that the governor has now said, we're gonna stay there till October. Now, all you can hope for is this month and next month, Northern California, build Noah's Ark. That's all we can hope for, because the rain down here doesn't do anything.
Director Martin.
San Vicente,
Mhm.
full yet?
No, they can't fill it all the way up yet, because they don't have permission for the Division of Dams. They're going through the testing. You can't just, I don't know how far they've been allowed to go. You
I'll
can't
just wait till my report.
Yeah, you can't just fill a dam up. You've got to go through coring and aging and testing as you fill the dam up. They've been given permission to go up some, but not all the way. But again, even if they were full, that would just be even more water, where San Diego would say, we're not 99% of normal,
I'm just
we're
saying.
102.
That's another place for water to go,
Yeah, if they could put it in there,
if they can put it
yeah.
Now, if we built our lakes, we could put it
in. No, you have to go through
there, raise the dam.
Yeah,
That's all I have.
Without lakes,
The rest will be closed session.
It's coming, you watch.
yeah, right. Attorney, please.
Mr. Scott, do you have a legal
That-
report for us?
That was the only thing I wanted to bring up, was the issue you brought up.
Yeah,
Was
I got
just
bombarded
crazy.
yesterday.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
I'm just sitting
crazy.
here, my phone's going, like, as if I was on, like, I was like,
I told you
not
it's
even on the
coming.
water authority board, and, I mean, you would have thought that, I ran water for the entire state, but, it was pretty nuts.
Yep.
Okay, so no other report?
That's it.
Okay, Director Evans, we're looking forward to your report.
Good, I'll try to make it fun. Actually, there was a lot that happened at this water authority, and we had a huge amount of closed sessions, so it's very difficult for me to point out specifics. But I will say that we're not the only district that's feeling the crunch and the anxiety and the frustration with the governor. And and it doesn't just span that we have the water. There's all other kinds of things. There are, some districts feel that they've been mistreated with the conservation standards that were set up. There's arguments between ag and commercial and urban, and there's just a lot going on. So I can say that in one of our very long discussions, they are moving forward, looking into, I can't say anything?
Out of closed session.
Well, I mean, I think you can, in general, you
General.
can talk.
Okay,
There's a
I'll
report
say
after closed
The
session, yeah.
the report
Report, we report
simply
it
is
out.
that there is a opinion that they should begin to looking into the constitutionality of the governor's emergency order. It's a new thing, and everyone was with it when the emergency, now they're not real sure. The trouble we have at this moment, though, as you all know, the water system calendar doesn't work with the governors, so February 2nd doesn't really tell us hydrologically if we're really going to make it through this drought or if it's going to be worse or whatever. So part of what's happening with the Water Resource Board is they're doing their thing. Oh, we have to make a report on February 2nd, make a decision, but it's really not till April that we'll have a full onslaught. So a lot of people are saying, well, we've made some progress in softening things. And let me ask, I got this letter today. Is this okay if I just read it to them? I don't think I'm stepping outside of bounds.
No, that's what I
Well,
was
let
just
me
reporting.
I thought you were. Let me
Yeah.
just read it to
Yeah,
them.
because it went to the manager.
And it said the manager, but I want to make sure. Well, this is what came after many discussions, and we were all holding our breath to see where it would go on the decision today. And so I'm going to read it just so you get it straight from the Water Authority. After a very long hearing yesterday, the State Water Resources Control Board took action to adopt an extended and revised emergency regulation. The regulation extends the restrictions for urban water suppliers through October 2016 and includes adjustments for growth, climate, and new local drought-resilient supplies. So there have been some modifications. The credit for drought-resilient supplies contained in the February 2nd, 2016 regulation is consistent with what was contained in the January 15th proposed regulation, and that is a maximum credit of 8 percentage points. Conservation standards cannot drop below that 8% drop. Applies to supplies developed after 2013. That allows us credit for the desal because it was developed after the 13th. However, all the water that the Water Authority is getting via contracts through the QSA and the canals, that was before 2013. So basically, the state says, I'm sorry, you have that water, we're not counting it. It's not available. Use of supply does not reduce water available to another legal user or environment. They removed the minimum requirement that 4% of a supplier's potable production must be drought-resilient supplies. So they were going to do some things with all kinds of little caveats. So they were, in that way, they were good. Some additional amendments that were made by the State Water Board yesterday include definition of commercial agricultural remains unchanged from original regulation. They were hoping to declare you had to make $1,000 a year, and then you'd have to certify it and prove that in order to be considered agriculture. In the State Water Board resolution that accompanies the regulation, there was an amendment, regional conditions, among the factors for board consideration to rescind or further amend the emergency regulation in April. So we have one more chance to possibly have a change. The resolution was also amended describing board intention to focus on a resilient-based approach to dealing with the future that includes water use efficiency, enhanced water conservation, and development of new water sustainable supplies such as recycling, stormwater capture and reuse, local storage to capture water in wet years for use in dry years, and other actions. I think the significance of that is that at least they're putting it in writing, the things that people are saying we have, and let's look at them. A more detailed report is to be coming out in the next several days, and when that comes out, Dennis, would it be possible that you'd send it to all the members?
You bet.
I would appreciate that. So that was part of it. We also had a big discussion, and they wanted to sponsor 2 bills, and as Director Lamb's already pointed out, the challenge right now is we're in a, if I got this right, we're in a lot of them are 2-year bills. So that shortens your ability to get them on and get them moving. Is that
Yeah.
correct? Okay. So they wanted to sponsor, we're suggesting we sponsor let me read it. I can find the exact writing. Sponsor legislation to require any future emergency drought regulation provides crediting and adjustments for new drought-sustainable local water supplies, and sponsor legislation to require the Resource Control Board implementation of a declared drought emergency to be conducted on a county-by-county or regional basis. And here was part of the challenge of what we were going through yesterday. If you were going to challenge some of these things, first of all, they were saying, well, if we can only get a spot bill maybe, because you'd have to jump right on it, or you don't have time to do it. But one of the challenges was, in order to leave ourselves open, and you'll need to help me on this, Jeff, if to leave ourselves open to the possibility of, I guess it's challenging or suing the governor, you have to lay claims to certain things, or that you're concerned about them. And we had a timeline. If you didn't do it by that timeline, then you kind of have lost your right to attack it later. Well, the timeline, of course, conveniently fell the day before this was happening. It was actually a few days, but before we knew what the decisions were on any change at all. So there was a lot of confusion on, do we put this in, and then the governor puts us up in arms and says, fine, if you're gonna challenge me, then the Water Control Board says we won't do anything. Or do we say, well, let's see if they'll give us what they've told us they're gonna give us and wait for the next round. So it's very, very challenging, and nobody knows where it's going. But I will tell you, the sentiment down there is that this is definitely not fair, and particularly not fair to Southern California, because we've done so much to preserve. And then I wanted to make one comment also, when we were saying the Water Authority had contracted Director Martin that we knew we wouldn't use, we were in a drought. Well, it's no different than we made a contract with Poseidon, the desal. We're gonna take water from them. And we all know when it opened in February, or in December, we didn't get that, man, we can't really use that water. And do you know what I'm saying? It's counting. And that's our challenge. We have all these long-term contracts. So let me finish.
Sure. No, I got a
So
question
we
about
do
that.
have this connection, we're supposed to take X amount of water, and the Water Authority did put in 0 requests for water. And Metropolitan just delivered it anyway.
Because we had to.
We have no right not to. So we have water that we told them we didn't want. So now they're investigating into how many of the others agencies within Metropolitan may have these agreements that we're being told, because some of them work out these little side agreements. So now we're looking into, we may have be another challenge to Met, but it's like, you can't tell one district you can roll on and off, and one district you can take it when you want it. But down here, it's you get it, and we did it 2 or 3 times. The water came anyway. So it's tied up in a lot of awful nastiness, but the sentiment is in where you're at, Mike.
I want to get Director Martin
Yes.
in on this too, but before, you were talking about laying claims and expressing concerns on a timely manner. Did anybody lay claim or express concerns that we were taking 500 million gallons of treated water? And that's concerning, right? Did anybody lay the claim on that?
What do you mean laid a claim?
I don't know, you said in order to do this, you have to lay a claim, and you have to, there's a process, right? And you have to express your concerns. Was this
Oh,
I
no.
think
concern?
she's talking
Now,
about
you're-
challenging the
I'm
governor's
talking about the
actions.
No, I
legalities.
know, but this is,
Yeah.
there is an actual tangible loss there to our ratepayers, to all of the ratepayers in the region.
Yes.
And that's when if you're gonna challenge the governor legally, wouldn't you wanna show that?
Well,
That was the
it's-
Water Authority met, that wasn't the governor.
Yeah, but I mean, as
Two
far
different
as but I mean, if you were gonna challenge either the action of Met or the governor, there are, it's the sin of latches, you can't sit on your hands. And even though maybe the damage doesn't occur until down the road, if it's foreseeable that there could be consequences, then, sometimes you have some tight timeframes in which you've got to challenge those orders.
And I'm sorry, I feel like maybe I can't state it clearly, because I really don't want to step over
I
the
understand.
restrictions on closed sessions, but we spent hours in closed sessions. And it's
I know.
very interesting debate.
Director Martin.
So Dennis, let me ask you, out of curiosity now, what David knows. Where does Met, other than Twin Oaks, where else does Met take their raw water and make it into drinking water?
Met or the water?
Met.
That doesn't do anything in our
Twin
boundaries.
Oaks is.
Twin Oaks
the
is the
water
San Diego
authority.
County Water Authority.
Okay, but what we're saying is we're getting contractual water from Met.
Treat. Raw
Treated.
water.
Comes from
No.
Lake Skinner.
That's from Lake Skinner.
Lake Skinner.
Lake Skinner.
So it all comes from Lake Skinner.
All the treated.
All the
from
treated
Met.
water coming into the county comes through Lake Skinner.
So they have no way to divest that water in places further north that need the water. Is that what I'm guessing?
Well, they run the plant. Why they sent water after the water authority said we don't need any, I can't answer that question.
Well, do they have the ability to send the water north? I don't
No,
think so.
they just don't treat it. Well, they can send it north. They put it up in, Dominigoni, Diamond Valley, whatever they call
Diamond
it.
Valley.
Oh,
Whatever
Diamond
they call
Valley.
it. So they have places to put it, but you also, on a water treatment plant, you produce what you are called for.
And I understand
Yeah.
that, but at some point in time, once you're a glutton, as we are right now, awash with water,
Mhm.
if someone else can use that water,
They should send it to
it
them.
would make sense it should go there. And even the governor, in his limited ability to understand anything, should get that.
Don't disagree.
Doesn't anybody get that?
Okay, let's separate two issues here. The governor, what he has done is a statewide mandate, everybody quit using water. That has no bearing on the conversation of the news report of water getting dumped into Lower Otay. That's a Water Authority Metropolitan Water District issue. No bearing on the drought or anything else. So for whatever reason, Met sent us water. If I'm understanding what Director Evans said here, we had a zero call for it. Like right now, Ed does it up to 3 times a day. We call the Water Authority, we want X, X, X during the day. That trickle down goes all the way up the state, literally. It starts the state water project during the summer, and everybody starts asking for more, putting it to us. If we had a zero call from the Water Authority, and they were sending water anyway, I can't address that. I have no idea why they would do that.
Yeah, I mean, physically, the treatment plant at Skinner can be shut down.
Yeah, they'll just ramp it down. You just turn the plant
I mean, you
down.
can shut down to 0, or that water can go
But it's,
elsewhere.
Water Authority, Matt's mad at Water Authority
Yeah.
for all the things that, all the suits and everything that's
So-
gone on. So this was an opportunity to give them the old shift,
So don't pay the bill. I mean, if I order something over the holiday season from Walmart, right, I get it, and I buy it, and I pay for it, and then they continue to send me things that I didn't want and didn't order, I just simply wouldn't pay the bill. And I know that there's not a lot of common sense in this stuff,
That
but
may be what Water Authority does. We don't know. It just happened. You gotta give them time to.
Be nice if it ran like
And the last
Walmart.
thing, this is just a thought, being rebellious at that point. I mean, we learned from the last one, the ongoing battle with Metropolitan, that sword rattling doesn't work. And you're better to be on the defense than the offense, because you can stall them forever.
yeah.
Seems to me the county water authority could do something.
Yeah, that's my frustration too with the
Take on
authority
the
is,
responsibility, cast a blow against her committee and see what happens.
because, I don't mean to cut you off, but I feel the exact same way, that for 2+ years that I've been involved with water now, all I've heard is, we're really mad, we're so mad at the governor, he's doing this to us, but, oh, we're not gonna mess with him now. I mean, at what point do you stand up and say enough is enough? I mean, I'm tired of hearing about how mad they are, tired of hearing about how frustrated they are. Do something about it, at least fight. And that's all, and that's what I was trying to do with my original question when this all started a half an hour ago, is did we have an opportunity just to be a little pinprick into the governor's side by going voluntary with our, and then also be able to tell our customers that, you know what, we have plenty of water. You invested tremendous amount of money, and we put it to good use. We bought desal, we increased our storage, and because of that, you get to have water as much as you need to grow your lawn or whatever you're gonna do, if you so choose to. If you still wanna do the right thing from an environmental standpoint and not to, at least it's voluntary, we're not forcing people to do something. Especially where we're just letting good water go right by their house and into some reservoir in Chula Vista. So that's my whole point. And I want to clarify one thing that came up because I'm concerned about it now. our desal commitment, I understand that we have a commitment to buy desal, and we can't shut that off. But however, if we do have too much water in general, we do still keep the capability to slow down the imported water to offset that. So we're not gonna find ourselves in the same position that the water authority has found themselves right now. I guess we could be if they still send us the water, even though we say no.
Well, if they do the same thing and send it to me.
So
If
we're not
they
paying that
did.
bill, we're not paying that bill, that
Yeah.
But no, that was part of the rationale. You may recall the original plan was 7,500 acre feet. Okay, that was based upon a lot of things happening. Well, because of the drought, because of demands, we didn't have enough demand for the 75. We couldn't have taken it during today. We would have had to shut every connection down and move water everywhere to accommodate it. So we backed off to what we could reasonably take on the wettest day.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Right
just
now,
a
Bart.
comment on that. I mean, if your monthly demands were less than 900 acre feet, then
I'd be concerned.
you'd be concerned, you'd be paying for water that you're not actually taking.
Yeah, that's why we
from the
reduced to
desal.
what we could take.
Yeah.
Director Martin, did you have something else?
I guess, just to back up what President Snow said, I guess, and I've always heard the same thing, where we're shaking our fist at Metropolitan, but we're not doing jack. There's gotta be, I'm guessing, a feeling from more than just a few people at San Diego County Water Authority that they're fed up with it. I guess my question is, never being to one of their board meetings, is there an insurgence anywhere on that board to do something drastic? Or are they all just
Well,
following the leader?
Remember, the politics of that board.
Well,
You better talk to the city of San Diego, because it's basically, they've got the
got the weighted
votes,
vote.
and they basically run the show. So you could be on the, outside, but it isn't, and believe me, over the years, and I won't go into it tonight, but there's been some times when there's been some various, there's been some resurgence that, reactions to try to change things, and it hasn't gone well, It hasn't been successful.
Director Hernandez.
Well, personally, and I don't know, but I gotta believe, knowing a number of those San Diego County Water Authority board members, believe me, they're not just sitting back there going, oh gee, wish we could, might,
Mhm.
there is some angry individuals who are doing something, and I'm just being patient, because I believe that when some of this closed section stuff comes out, we're gonna go, well, gosh, I'm really glad they've been doing that. I wish there would've been a way for us to know a little bit, so we wouldn't be so frustrated that you're sitting down there. I gotta believe, knowing those board members, as I do, that they're working it.
If I may, I'd like to say thank you, because they are working it. And I think we forget that in the middle of this, that the Water Authority has done a great amount in conjunction with many organizations like Aqua to change the conservation efforts that were laid down by the governor in the first place. They've challenged a lot of issues. They've been behind any of the districts that have had conservation, letters that you didn't make your goal. There's a great amount of anger there. And right now, I think, but their first response of the board as a whole, I think, is to let's try to work this out and resolve it. And it's the same thing with Met. I disagree. I think that is some contention that's long grudges between the Water Authority and the Metropolitan. But they did receive incredibly, almost 99%, you were legally in the right for what you did. And it's just, yes, we have to go through the legal process of Metropolitan appealing it repeatedly, but Met has basically been legally stated that its rates and the way they do it are wrong. They didn't change them this year. They just said, no, we're going to appeal it and we'll keep doing it. In the meantime, that's their privilege. They have that time. But I don't think that means we're not doing anything because we haven't, pulled out pitchforks and gone up and poked the governor. I think there's an effort to be conciliatory and to move forward, but I think the anxiousness of, the anxiety is a little higher than it was when we see the movement is slow. But you have to remember the governor and the Water Resource Control Board, they're in Sacramento and they're in the north, and to them, They think the lawns and us are, it's frivolous, it doesn't mean anything to them. They have a huge lack of understanding of what has happened. And we, you know, it's, you can get angry, but when people are ignorant, you have to give them a chance to get educated. That they're making moves at all, I think is good. There's rumors that hopefully the Water Resource Control Board will be willing to let go of this eventually and hand it back over to, what was the Department of?
Oh, they're not gonna give it back to the health department.
No, but there actually is talk being done about what if and sentiment for that. And you have to understand the Water Control Board now is also the Water Fix or Delta Fix or God knows what it's gonna be called. That's gonna become the pressure for them this year. So I think they're all hoping that the drought is very minimalized and we can calm it down. So, but I would have to say, I think there's a lot of angry board members, there's a lot of angry ratepayers. They're working really hard. The board is controlled by San Diego, and they have their agenda as well. I will say that South Padre, that was wanting to do, not pure water, but their water, what's their water program called?
Pure water.
Oh, Pure
Diego.
Water.
Yeah.
They basically stated at several meetings that if this continues, the governor, they won't move forward with it because they are not gonna have stranded assets.
Everybody's dropping their
They said, "We're not doing
DPR,
that."
IPR. Nobody's moving forward on any water resource projects.
So there's
They've
a
all
lot of
stopped.
people saying, you know, you told us to do this, and he said it'll be the biggest boondoggle we'll ever do, even though we all know it would be so good.
Yeah.
And the same with the Pure Water.
Yep, everybody's just putting skids on their projects.
As a good thing, the dam did just get, they are filling it.
You can't, did
I
they get
believe
permission?
that was,
Okay.
yes.
Here's that,
This
email if
got-
you wanna pass it.
I'm
Oh,
very
thank you.
familiar with the water authority. Are the city of San Diego's, are they delegates or board members?
No.
How are they,
No.
are they appointed by the mayor?
They're appointed by the mayor.
They're just strict appointments,
Mhm.
mayoral appointments?
Yeah.
Okay, good to know.
I think 6-year term. I remember
They
correctly.
have 10.
Yeah, 10 representatives.
One last thought. I know we're 200 years apart, but the Boston Tea Party worked. The San Diego County Water Authority is big enough to do something if they want to, if they get the will behind them to do it. Okay.
Okay, we'll move on to Encina. You guys got any good stuff to talk about?
Well-
You guys have a new general manager, right?
Yeah, I'll go first. We didn't have a policy and finance committee meeting. There wasn't, there hasn't been one since early December, but we did have a board meeting last week. And in closed session, we talked about the selection process for a new general manager to replace Kevin Hardy, who's leaving at the end of this month. And so that deliberation lasted about a half hour. We came out of closed session, and it was announced that we unanimously selected the existing assistant general manager, Michael Steinle, as the new permanent GM. So I, for one, was ready to go through a selection process. But,
As was I.
Sounds like a lot of things are done
But,
with these things, so it's like, oh, we want it our way.
Well, from my perspective, I started with, that as a temporary, I thought Mike was the absolute choice, and went through the items that we learned at the conference, what the majority do, hiring a consultant, how much that was gonna cost, how long it might take, and then cast a net. And there may have been one other individual who was softer than either of us. And the consensus was that Mike has been doing a fine job, a great job, and that he has been being groomed for this. And the one areas that he really hadn't projected was the public side. And then he told us, well, I'm not gonna step on the general manager's stage, so now that I'm on the stage, I do have a public ability. And so I think and that's why the chairman asked, went around the table again and asked, would I, and those that were soft on just going directly to Mike, would we join? And absolutely, we all said yes, because, he's been doing a magnificent job. And so bingo, bango, bunko, based on negotiations, he's gonna be our mayor. So-
And he's a San Marcos guy.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's gonna do a tremendous job, it's just again, I'm still getting used to this government stuff. And I'm glad you guys spoke up again, and at least advocated to a certain extent that they go through a normal process, because there's other replications that could come out of just appointing somebody. It could hurt morale and seeing that if there was some other folks that were interested in at least going through the process. I mean, there's a right way to do things and there's a wrong way to do things. But I'm
Right,
glad
and-
you guys at least spoke up and.
And they did talk about staff and what, were they gonna be offended or were they gonna be positive to the person? He's the guy.
Yeah.
Everybody agreed.
Yeah, I've got another
Yeah,
comment.
mine-
Yeah, I have no doubt that Mr. Steinlich's gonna do
Oh,
a
I'm
great
sure he's gonna do
job, but
awesome.
I think my perspective, do the due diligence, and if you do the recruitment right, it shouldn't hurt morale internally. If you can include them in an open recruitment process, it can work just fine, so. I was a little bit taken aback of the strength for which everybody advocated, no, let's just, put him in the position, so.
But-
It sounds unusual to me.
It wasn't contentious, so.
No, yeah,
you know,
it's a
it- you know,
positive
it worked,
experience
I
and-
think it's gonna work out okay. And if it doesn't, we'll throw him.
Well, I think it's fantastic to be able to come to that, but yeah, knowing boards as well as I know boards, it was an easy way for most people.
Well, in this day and age, it's becoming unusual to take that kind of action. I think for, transparency and due diligence sake, I think you spend some money and do the process.
And how many employees are in all reality, if they're asked, hey, are you okay if we don't give you an opportunity to go for this? What are they supposed to say, no? I mean, it's a sticky issue on many levels, but I'm sure he's gonna do great, and I'm glad you guys at least raised that concern, that's all you can do. Thank you for fighting for that.
And we have not had a capital committee either.
Super. Director's reports on travel, conferences, and seminars. Mine's pretty light, so I'll start with you, Director Hernandez, and we'll work our way down this way.
I've turned in my reports.
You wrote them?
You wrote it?
What?
You wrote them?
No, in my travel reports. We had I can't remember what we've had. We've had the Palm Springs thing, but I think we talked about that already. And then we had a water council, and I thought we talked about that as well. But maybe that was 2 weeks ago.
Okay. Director Martin?
Yes, we already did talk about CAWA, Alaska
Mhm.
CAWA,
Yeah.
and CASA. We talked about CASA on the 3rd,
Thank you.
so, haven't had meetings since.
Yeah, I don't think I've been to anything either. The last San Diego North EDC was the Sandak presentation, and I think we talked about that last time.
last time.
So, I haven't been in.
Very informative, yeah, that was unfortunate.
Yeah, that was good, very informative. Director Althar?
Yeah, I attended the same, the Council of Water Utilities on the 19th, and then the CASA conference, I was there as well.
Okay. Director Evans?
I attended the COWA. I was going to say it was interesting to hear from the professor at CSUSM again on what makes people change their minds and how to be effectively conservation-wise. And I also wanted to say thank you for supporting me as vice chair.
Congratulations. Quarterly board expenses, those are in your packet, so unless there's any questions on that, you don't need any, just.
No file.
Okay. Director's comment and future agenda items. Again, I'll start with you, Director Hernandez, and we'll move.
Yes, I do have a couple of 3 items. I would like to ask the general manager about setting up an engineering committee, and whoever from staff needs to attend, to look into what it's gonna take to produce a recycling-free fill station at the Meadowlark plant. And I know that we have contractual obligations with Olivenheim, but if we can put together the committee, we can at least figure out what we need to figure out, and then we can, you would put that on the general agenda so we can report back, because we have an opportunity down there, I think would be a feather, as I've mentioned to you, in our caps, if in fact, with all this extra water, we could give away free water to our constituents in a fill station, much like what Liebenhain is doing with testing and understanding, and they're bringing in their own containers, but see what that's gonna take. So if we could get a couple of dates and
Sure.
a couple of names, director, or
But you'd
general
probably
manager?
You would probably need two board members, like all, you're talking about something like the finance committee or the.
Right, and we already have,
Yeah, you already have
Director
standing committee.
Elazar and I are on the engineering committee, and whoever in staff would be involved.
So you just want to kind of activate the engineering.
Yes,
Okay.
for this task.
Good, that sounds good.
And then secondly, I think we have a resource plan coming up, Dennis, and I continually forget the name of what. the heck
Yeah,
it is.
it's part of the IRP, which is Integrated Resource Plan, and that's where we talked to you in the past, and that'll be looking at DPR, IPR, groundwater basin. That should be coming to you Marchish.
Marchish,
Marchish.
all right. And then lastly, can we turn off the cameras? No, I'm kidding.
That's the old way of doing things.
Let's go back room.
Yeah. I know that we, in our responses to developers coming in relative to servicing water, we just say, yeah, water, or we don't have water. Got water, you get a letter, and then when you finally show up, if we got water, you get it. Do we have the ability, and I'm just asking this question so that my developer friends don't shoot me walking out of the parking lot, do we have the ability to condition approvals of gathering water? The reason this has come up is I'm educating myself further on water by reading some of these additional books. And some areas in our country are actually saying, yeah, well, we gotta sustain this water somehow, and we're giving it all away, sooner or later we're gonna run out, so if we do give one thing, we're gonna ask for something else for developers to do. And in the one case, in Arizona, I believe, it's Colorado developer comes in, wants water hookups, they say, well, why don't you retrofit 2 or 3.
Oh, you're talking about
existing
offsets.
homes. Offsets.
You're talking
There-
offsets.
that-
Okay.
That's a term.
You're talking about offsets.
I guess that's the term.
Yeah,
Offsets.
what happened when we went to level 2
Mhm.
with the drought? Nobody knew what was going because we had no idea what the rain was going to be. The blob was there. El Nino was supposed to hit us and drown us. The Water Authority and a lot of us in the industry, there were initial discussions with the development community and the BIA about developing offsets to accommodate that in case we did go to level 3.
Mhm.
I don't think anybody was looking for a 1-to-1 offset.
No.
What it would have been, so if we have 60% availability, but they don't get a meter because we're having to cut back 40, could they go develop 20% to get us under that 20% in an offset somewhere? So what they would do would be to go in and retrofit 10 toilets, 3 shower heads, 200 square feet of lawn. Yeah, we do have the ability to develop that program. The feedback we got from those people going in was, well, do it as a regional program, so that we don't have to worry about department, agency to agency to agency.
Uh-huh.
And then all of the agencies said, well, if you're developing a offset for water within our boundaries, the water should be coming to us within our boundaries in our offset program. So it can be done. It started to go down that path, but it just kind of died because the governor didn't actually push us into the moratorium aspect. It can be done though.
Okay.
But let me just say, from a legal perspective, I would say you could not condition the development on doing that, these water offsets, because there's a pretty good argument on the other side that, first off, you can't condition development because you're not a city, you're a special district. And secondly, you have, by your own rules and regulations and water authority, we have water available, so you can't make me do this. But I do think it's coming, and we might see it We might see it here, right here. And it definitely is, if, from a developer's perspective, I think it's a pretty good idea to be thinking, particularly if you have a large development project and you're trying to mitigate the controversy of it, that it's probably a good idea to be thinking in those kind of offset terms, that's probably a good idea. Down, because these challenges are coming. There's gonna be somebody out there that's gonna basically, it's not gonna come from us, but it's gonna come from somebody that's challenging a development.
Thank you.
Anything else? You all good?
Director Martin, just a quick question on earlier conversation. Once two of this is full, we're gonna be done with the motion.
Well, hopefully they resolve it before
I
June.
know, I assume that's what's gonna happen. Where's you gonna put it?
I told you that months ago.
So the-
Should have bet that on.
Go to
Okay,
Teal.
I
Let's
got
go into
a couple
Tijuana.
of things. A couple of things. Our outreach program, you know, I would just as soon as a board member now, stop paying whoever it is we're paying. We've got nothing for it. They
We-
came in front of us with a half-hearted approach at something that was very generic and certainly not worth $100,000 in my opinion. They haven't come back since then. Chris is doing a great job. We don't need to spend any more money down that black hole.
We have the revised one, the revised video, and all the other stuff. We're meeting next Tuesday to go through it and make sure all the comments were made, and they will be providing it back to the board.
I know you have more to talk about, but before you move on, it's interesting that you brought that up, because I have in my notes here to engage Mr. Scott to see what, if any, legal remedies that I mean, I'm getting to the point where now $100,000, 2 years to make a PowerPoint presentation. I mean, what recourse do we have, if anything? Is it worth fighting? But again, I feel like we've been taken advantage of. If nothing else, can we write a letter to the Better Business Bureau about these folks? Can we put the word out there that, hey, these guys are not to be done business with? I mean, this is, in my opinion, the second time that they've really pulled a fast one on us. We haven't seen, what's her name, Patsy? We haven't seen her in 6 months. And including the last 2 times they came before us, and she was the lead, if I remember from their RFP presentation. So, do we have any recourse? Can
Well,
we
can look-
recoup our money that we've already given them, or can we stop paying them?
Well, I don't want to, in public, get into it. I think it's something we'd have to look into, and we'd look into
Okay.
it with
So maybe we
staff
can talk
and-
about that during closed session.
Yeah,
because
potentially.
I'm at that point. I mean,
Yeah.
and I do agree with Director Martin. If, whatever we haven't paid them, at the very least, let's stop paying them. I mean, it just, nothing's, the last presentation they gave us, there was no customization for our water district. There was no graphic design input. It was all just open source, cut and paste from the internet. I mean, it just really poorly done. And not worth the money that we spent on this, unfortunately. And I'm sure there's different levels of blame to go around, and we don't have to get into that, but just terribly disappointing. So if there is any legal recourse, we could talk about that, I guess, during closed session. Director Martin.
And I've got one other one. I think we commissioned Black and Veatch to do a groundwater study for us quite some time ago.
That's what I just referenced to
Sorry, guys.
Director Hernandez.
Be careful, Hal.
I won't bring up Black and Veatch again.
No, that'll be in March.
IRP.
It's not a groundwater study, it's looking at,
Whatever it is,
Yeah,
that
it'll
was
be
a lot of money we
March.
spent, and we still haven't seen.
we haven't spent any money on it yet. We
You
got a
haven't spent
proposal.
money on
No,
that
we haven't
yet?
spent any money on it yet.
Oh, good.
We got the proposal, we've gone through it. Keep in mind, it's not part of the master plan, it's a separate document that was to be delivered at the same time, so it's coming. And that's what I
It's
reported
coming
to the
in
board.
March.
I reported to the board in November, it'd be in March.
Does it take that long to do the study they're doing?
Yes. None of these, there seems to be a theory that these things are simple and easy projects. They take a lot of time and effort. The master plan is a long process. The master plan is a 2-year process. If you think about it, we started 2 years ago on that master plan. And you're still 6 months out of getting that master plan done. And that includes the EIR. This thing is part of the process, but it's not part of the master plan. We're trying to get the master plan done. It was done separately. When we awarded the contract and there was discussion by the board, if this had gone into the master plan, you think the conversation you had last week was lively about costs and everything else? That's why it's being done separately. It does not rely on the master plan. The master plan does not rely on this. They're two
Right.
separate documents.
Right, I understand.
Yeah, but the staff that's doing it all, it's all the same staff. at Black and Beach. So the master plan was the priority. This one is approved. We got a $75,000 grant from the state to do it. And we signed the contracts, we've got the money. But it will be coming, it hasn't been done concurrently. It's a piece that will be done with the master plan.
Thank you. With that, I'm done.
I got a few more items I wanted to bring up. And obviously, I hope I'm not surprising you because you chair this committee, but the Finance Committee, I'd like to, I think we come up with the word activate the Finance Committee to, and I don't mean to obligate you to additional meetings without having spoken to you first, so if you have concerns, please let me know, to review our procurement process, our procurement policy as it relates to fair competition and achieving best value for the district. So I'd like to have the Finance Committee and whoever in our Finance Department or Purchasing Department have a meeting to review that policy sometime in the coming 4 or 5 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever works for everybody. Number 2 is back during the legal billing audit, I had initially had requested that we get the total hours billed in 2014. and
I
then we followed
apologize,
up.
I said I was gonna send it to you last week and I didn't send it to you.
No, it hasn't come yet.
Yeah, I'll send it to you tonight.
Okay, and if I recall, the other board members were interested in that
Yeah,
information
I'll send it to
too.
all of you.
Thank you. And then, last but not least, this has come up, it came up tonight, it came up at the workshop, and I just want to, I want the board to consider something, or, with regards to our board meeting times. I think the speaker earlier had said that it was one of my campaign promises. I'm pretty certain it wasn't, but I do know it was others, so I think maybe you're just mistaken. However, as the I think the only board member who has a regular full-time job, I can certainly appreciate what the speaker has to say on this matter, that it's very difficult to, basically I have to leave work early to come to these board meetings, and if somebody else wanted to come and speak before us or hear what we had to say, they would have to, in most cases, leave it as well. So I'm open-minded to switching it. I'm also okay with keeping it as is. But I know Director Martins has brought it up recently, and we've had speakers bring it up. So do we need to agendize it, or is it something we can have a conversation on now, or?
Well, if you're gonna take
Let's
action, you
put it to
can
bed, one way or the
discuss it.
other.
You're not supposed to discuss stuff that's not on the agenda. So what I would do is bring the policy back to you next time, and you can make a decision if you want to change it or
Okay,
not.
so let's agendize that for next time. That's what I figured. Just so, again, it may stay the same,
Let the
but
board
let's have the conversation, so we don't have to talk about it in every
That's
meeting.
the actions of the board, yeah.
And that's all I got, so Director Ellsworth.
I don't have any.
And I'm fine, thanks. You're fine too.
You
Good.
got something?
No, no, I'm,
Okay.
I think we're ready.
I
Okay.
think that was,
A motion to adjourn?
So moved?
closed session.
Oh,
Closed
motion to go
session.
into closed session?
Yeah.
So moved.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.